This is Prep Test 74, Section 4, Question 1. Ming says, since trans fat is particularly unhealthy, it's fortunate for the consumer that so many cookie manufacturers have completely eliminated it from their products. I'm thinking, sure. I mean, if trans fat is, let's say, poison is particularly unhealthy, right? So if trans fat / poison is particularly unhealthy, then that would be fortunate for the consumer that so many cookie manufacturers have completely eliminated it from their products. That's a hard thing to disagree with. I don't know how how can you disagree with that? But Carol actually does. Carol says, why do you say that? Even without trans fat, desserts do not make for healthy eating. And I'm doing like a role-playing exercise here. I don't know what type of question this is. I don't even care what type of question this is. My reaction to this is I'm going to react as if I were Ming. What is Ming going to say back to Carol? It basically is going to start with, you idiot. I didn't say that cookies were healthy. What I said was it's a good thing for consumers that they got rid of trans fat, which is particularly unhealthy. Surely it's good for consumers to get this poison out of cookies. I'm not trying to sell you on the idea that cookies or desserts more broadly make for healthy eating. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's good that we got rid of this one particular poison. If you've done that, that's the answer to the question. Okay, I don't care what they ask. What I just said is going to be the answer to the question. It's just, you have to get into this logical, argumentative mindset. And essentially, Carol just wasn't responding to Ming's argument. Ming's conclusion is, this is good for consumers. Her premise is, they got rid of trans fat, and trans fat is particularly unhealthy. Her conclusion is, this is good for consumers. And Carol, just in a totally bogus way, tries to disagree with Ming by essentially, it's a straw man argument. What Carol really does here is a straw man argument, which is misstating your opponent's argument so that you can more easily attack their argument. So she's like, cookies aren't healthy? Well, that's not what Ming said. Ming said, it's good that they got rid of this one particularly poisonous component of cookies. That's good for consumers. And so you see what I'm saying? Carol just like responds to an argument that Ming actually didn't make. We call that a straw argument. It's an amazing argumentative technique. It's something that you should definitely be aware of if you're trying to win an argument against, a 10-year-old. You could win every argument against a 10-year-old with straw man. Just misstate everything they say right back in their face, and they're not going to know how to respond to it. But it also works. I mean, you'll see it. You can't hardly turn on the news without seeing the Republicans do this to the Democrats, and the Democrats do this to the Republicans. And that's why I never watch television, because it's just idiots arguing with each other in stupid ways. But that's what this argument is. Don't listen to your opponent, misstate their argument, argue against a conclusion that they didn't actually make. And the only thing Ming can say back is, you dummy, that's not what I said. I did not say that cookies are healthy. I said getting rid of this one particular poison, trans fat, in cookies is only good for consumers. That's not to say that cookies are good for consumers. All right, anyway, now we get to the question part, and it's going to be super easy. Carol's response indicates that she interpreted Ming's remarks to mean that, well, is Carol stupid or is she a liar? I thought she was a liar. I mean, I thought she was intentionally misstating Ming's argument. She could be that stupid to just think that Ming was really trying to say that cookies are healthy, but that's just not what she said. That's not what Ming said. Anyway, yeah, she seems to think, if you take her at her word, which I don't necessarily, but if you did take Carol at her word, she seems to be thinking that Ming thinks cookies are healthy, which is not what she said. Anyway, does Carol think that A, the more trans fat a cookie contains, the more unhealthy it is? Well, that's exactly what Ming does think. But that's not what Carol thinks Ming thinks. Carol thinks that Ming thinks that cookies are healthy, which is just wrong. I'm looking for an answer that says cookies are healthy. B, food that doesn't contain trans fat is healthy food. There it is, because B means cookies are healthy. Ming said it's really good for consumers that they got rid of trans fat. And Carol's like, well, but that doesn't mean cookies are healthy, though, which means that Carol thinks that Ming thinks that food that doesn't contain trans fat is healthy food. I'm almost positive that that's going to be the answer. C says if a food is not healthy, then it is unhealthy. What? That's a bizarre answer. Semantics, just like, that's not even a flaw, right? I mean, yeah, if you're not healthy, that is the definition of unhealthy. So that wouldn't, no. You have to realize that Carol is stupid. And that's why the answer is going to be B. D, a cookie containing any amount of trans fat is unhealthy. I mean, that might very well be what Ming believes, and that's not what's wrong with Carol's argument. E, consumers should purchase cookies only if they do not contain trans fat. I think E is the opposite of what Carol thinks Ming thinks. The answer is B. I think it's a particularly quirky, difficult question number one. Question number one tends to be the easiest, it's going to be like, they don't hardly get easier than question number one. But this one's a little bit quirky because it's like, whose perspective are we trying to consider here? What did Carol interpret Ming as meaning? It would have been an easier question if it would have said misinterpreted, because then it clearly would have been a flaw question where it was like, hey, what did Carol do wrong? Instead, I think formally, if I had to put this question in a category, I would put it in a strategy of argumentation, maybe, or it's a hidden flaw question. I guess it's a hidden flaw question, which is weird, and we just don't see that many of this type of question. But hey, all it does is prove my point that reading the question stem first is no value. In fact, I think reading the question stem first hurts you here, because you would think, oh, it's a strategy of argumentation question. What did Carol do? And you might get out of the mode of attacking what Carol did, because Carol did something really stupid here, and B describes what Carol did that was really stupid, and that's why the answer is B.